Microsoft has a massive market share in the home PC and enterprise network departments, and only a lot of it has to do with the anti-competitive practices back in the day. This video isn't about that, though it probably should be. Instead, we're going to dive deep down the rabbit hole of exploring how to make and break within the Microsoft Windows operating system. We all use the OS constantly, but precious few of us, myself included, actually know how it works at a deeper level than I boop that button and this window pops up. I've left the Windows Internals book on the shelf for a long time, and now I want to dive into some of the deep topics in the Book of Secrets. We're going to start at a high level with this video, both because I haven't quite done the research to go any deeper, and because we can start at an easy point and work our way deeper into the more complex stuff. So what is the Windows OS, and how is it laid out? Well, an operating system is a system that operates.
Oh, no shit, Sherlock.
No, I'm not going to leave it there. That's stupid. Basically, you've got a ton of data and functions and activities you want to do, and the operating system is supposed to be built to facilitate those actions and manage that data and do all of the things without you really having to worry about it. Theoretically, the more you have to deal with the OS, the worse the OS probably is. I have cat videos to watch. I shouldn't have to make changes to the registry or my OS configurations to do that. So let's peel back one more layer of the onion. The OS is a series of abstractions, or layers that stand between you and all of the boring shit an OS has to do, that are there to manage all of that boring shit so you can do all of the boring shit that you get paid to do for work. Just think if you had to manage I/O on a hard drive every time you made an input to that massive Excel document that you have to maintain for work, because nobody has realized that your job could be done by 3 Python scripts and a summer intern with a failing average and an Adderall habit. Alright, cool, that's probably enough for the average person, but we're wanting to go further. We as system programmers, or in my case a wannabe system programmer, want to peel back those layers of abstraction, analyze them, and analyze the systems that lie beneath them. We're masochists, which I suppose makes me a sadist for pushing you further down this rabbit hole, so we don't want the seatbelts and safety guards that come with the ignorance of not knowing the foundations of how our systems work. Let's dive further. Now, the kernel is, spoiler alert, the most important thing for us to study as system programmers. It's the last level of abstraction before the hardware. It operates at the highest level of access in terms of security, and it contains all of the power of the operating system. The kernel is the OS's management. It handles hardware operations like I/O interactions between the software and keyboards, mice, and hard drives through device drivers, drawing things to screen through UI libraries, and interfacing with network hardware through device drivers for NICs and network libraries. Userland is the land of the user, where us ignorant and huddled masses gather in queues miles long, begging for a helping of hardware resources to feed our hungry programs, mainly browsers. Our programs and processes operate at a higher level than the kernel in that we don't have to worry about manipulating hardware or interfacing with the NIC to watch cat videos and play Minecraft. Instead, we operate at several layers of abstraction from that hardware thanks to the kernel and our good friends, the Windows API. The Windows API is our best friend. It allows us to do all of our favorite things without worrying about the complicated hardware and memory management that runs on the backbone of the OS, but it also gives us access to some incredible power if we choose to take advantage of it. I have a video out about what APIs are, but the context was for web apps. They're different but basically the same, which is my super helpful and context-rich way of transitioning into the comparison. Web application APIs are typically divided into endpoints, each of which you hit with a certain kind of request in order to get one of a limited number of responses. These responses usually contain objects that have predictable fields with useful values. So if I request /foo with a parameter bar, I should get an object that contains baz. All of those interactions happen with web requests to web-based API endpoints. The Windows API doesn't have endpoints per se, not in the same way, and it's obviously local. There aren't web requests running this whole thing. Instead, you make structured calls to the API functions contained in libraries, usually DLLs, which we'll talk about later, I'm sure, with certain predefined structured data, and the OS will hopefully respond with predictable structured data for you to interact with. Windows have API functions for all CRUD operations on all sorts of data, from registry keys to raw files and lots of things in between. I'd say all of the things you can do through the GUI, from changing your password to opening a browser, you can do through the Windows API. But with great power comes great disappointment, or something like that. I don't remember how the quote goes. The Windows API is unbelievably powerful, but it's also unbelievably convoluted and complex. That's why there have been like 7 editions of the Windows Internals book covering all versions of Windows operating systems, their system architecture, kernels, and APIs, as well as all of the changes that have happened between releases. It's difficult to study, and part of me doing this series is keeping a log of my own research for myself and hopefully helping others along the same path. Basically, though, it's a way for me to organize my research into the Windows OS so I can actually make sure that I get on with it. Okay, cool. End of video. I'm trying something new with this video and doing it with the graphical explainy type process. It's going to take some polishing, obviously, but if you like this better than my previous style of just looking at my camera and talking at you for 30 minutes while coding, let me know. Otherwise, peace out.